scenario where they can actually miss the playoffs. Believe it or not, the Sulphur Springs Wildcats can actually miss the playoffs if they were to lose to Lake Dallas by 4, 5, or 6 points. It's a really interesting situation, but nonetheless, Sulphur Springs off this week, and meanwhile, we have the game ball being flown in from Air Evac Life Team, and this is something that they did in Paris a year ago. It's really cool, a really awesome experience as we see the officials holding on to their hats, and you've got players. Chris Garcia is holding his hands out like he's flying, and a lot of wind and everything. So it's really a cool experience for the kids to get to see, and whenever you're especially a captain, you're going to go out there and be with these first responders from Air Evac Life Team to deliver the game ball, as they are doing so right now. You can see at midfield. Appreciate our camera crew capturing that. But Evan, back to this ball game. We talk about how there's just this big jumble in the district as Miss Althea Dixon, the superintendent from Paris, accepts the game ball. And what's really interesting about this thing, though, is even if you're the fourth place team out of this district, because of the quality of literally everyone in it, everyone can make a little bit of a run.
Absolutely, Stephen. And, there's few other districts in 4A high school football where you're going to be facing multiple D1 recruits almost every week. It feels like the quality of competition absolutely could not be greater than what Paris has faced this year. And they've come out on the other side of it and really proven themselves that they have the potential to be a contender in this district and potentially make a postseason run.
And in your by-district, you're looking at teams like Carter, Kimball, Lincoln, and even though, obviously, you're going to have a district winner out of that district who the fourth-place team will play, second place will play third place out of this district, so on and so forth. But, man, the thing is, every team out of District 7 4A Division 1, I really feel they can go 4-0. I feel that this district's fourth-place team, whether that ends up being Paris or Sulphur Springs or Lake Dallas, I really feel like every single one of them can pick up a win in that first round of the playoffs. And then you get into some hairy competition with some, tougher teams, tougher districts, and, it becomes a lot more difficult. But I would not be shocked at all if you saw 4 teams from this district playing in the area round at minimum. And with that said, Air Evac is taken off and into the sky after delivering the game ball. And, here come the Celina Bobcats onto the field. Meanwhile, the Paris Wildcats, they've got Keyshawn Johnson, Cam Floyd, along with Davion Harrison, Boots Harper, and Tyler Heath as the captains on the field for them. And they didn't put up the inflatable for Paris because of the helicopter and the wind and everything of that sort. So just wanted to make it, didn't want to have any kind of disaster or anything of that sort. So, with that being said, Salina, boy, they will take their sweet, precious time, won't they? And finally, they come running through as well. And we're at 7 o'clock, which is the scheduled kickoff time. And, Salina certainly, now we got to run down to the other end of the field, So, Evan, as we get this one ready to kick off, let's take a look at what other games are going on in this district here tonight, and also take a look at what's going on in the area. A lot of, shifting and moving because of potential weather expected to come up. The Cooper Bulldogs are at Alba Golden. That game is tonight. Prairie Land tonight at Quitman. And then the district matchup to keep an eye on is going to be Aubrey versus Lake Dallas. So that's an interesting one. Kind of pulling for Lake Dallas there so that you can at least entertain forcing a scenario with Sulphur Springs. And then you also have Rivercrest hosting Paul Pewitt tonight. This game, Paris and Salina. Sulphur Springs taking on Community, so it's Panther Creek who has the night off, and that game also tonight will be kicking off at 7:30 in Nevada. You've got Jacksonville at Mount Pleasant. You've got Hugh Springs at Dangerfield, Eustis at Commerce, our neighbors in Commerce having a phenomenal season. Mount Vernon and Winsboro, great rivalry matchup there. North Lamar will play tomorrow in Longview against Spring Hill. And those are some games. Clarksville at Linden Kildare. Chisholm at Harmony tonight. And we have our coin toss ready in the middle of the field with our captains from the Paris Wildcats that we mentioned a little bit earlier.
The Paris Wildcats are proud to honor former high school band director Charles Grissom this evening as
and honoring Mr. Grissom, former band director, longtime band director. Wonderful man, widely respected here at Paris High, and he does the honors of flipping the coin here this evening. And we'll get the result of that coin flip here very, very shortly as Mr. Grissom lines up next to Chris Garcia. And it looks like Salina won the toss and deferred, and the Paris Wildcats will receive the opening kickoff to get this thing started here at Wildcat Stadium. We'll get to see the offense led by quarterback Tyler Heath. Last week in that shootout against Sulphur Springs that ended up 38-35, absolute classic of a game, obviously heartbreaking. Heath had 350 yards and 5 touchdowns. As we get ready to pause for our nation's anthem here on Paris Game Day.
At this time, would everyone please rise for a moment of silence, followed by the playing of the national anthem of the Paris High School Blue Blazers Band. Thank you.
All right, thank you so very much to the Paris Wildcat Blue Blazes Band for that playing of our national anthem. And it looks like we're going to have a full 7-man crew as far as the officials go. And so eyes will be on each and everything. And it's always great to have a full officiating crew. Of course, there has been notably a shortage of officials throughout the state of Texas, and with as many games as are played week in and week out, we certainly appreciate these gentlemen and the ladies who come out and officiate our Texas high school football. On the field, it'll be Aldrin Gill, Keyshawn Roberts back deep to receive the kick, along with Marquise Shelton. Best thing that could happen is, get a good return out of this one, set your quarterback and your offense up with phenomenal starting field position, and I think that's going to be a big key here tonight, Evan, is you've got to start with the small minutia nuances of football. And one of those that often goes without being discussed is the field position battle.
Oh, absolutely. And, I am a field position guy. It is vitally important in terms of your expected points on each possession. So they'll send this one away.
And it'll be taken by Shelton, and Shelton makes a man miss, advances the ball up to around the 30-yard line. And they'll spot it at what looks like the 29, so not bad field position as the Paris Wildcat offense comes out. And, I want to remind everybody, Quay Allen, freshman left tackle for the Paris Wildcats, and he has done a phenomenal job in that spot. And then on the other side, Jace Record. Those are your bookends in this offense, and looks like you're going to have Keyshawn Roberts, Baby J in the slot, Fabian Brown on the numbers at the 30, with Gio Dawson in the backfield. Heath out of the gun, man in motion. Here's the first play of the game, and it goes to Dawson, and he'll push ahead for a couple of yards across the 30 and fighting for an extra 4-yard gain on first down, and that's a good way to get things started.
Oh, absolutely. And, it's this is a Paris team that we've known to come out a little bit sleepy in some matchups this year, getting down big early to Aubrey, obviously, as well as down starting the game off down 17-0 at Sulphur Springs. This is the number 1 ranked team in the state in your conference, and you're going to have to start this one hot if you want a chance.
Man in motion once again is Roberts, and they'll take the snap, throw it out to him, and there's some great blocking out there, and Keyshawn Roberts has some wheels, and he will take it up near midfield to the 49-yard line, and I'll tell you what, this is a pretty good start against Salina.
You've got to like what you see, and this isn't a defense that has absolutely smothered every team they've played, despite, obviously being considered the best team in the district. Notably, Lake Dallas able to move the ball quite a bit on Salina.
And they're going to throw it out to Shelton, and Shelton down the sideline. He's going to be close to a first down, and Coach Hohenberger asking for a flag, and it looks like he will get the first down. I think he wanted some contact up near the helmet.
Yeah, from up here, it looked like the defender had latched on and unweighted himself, wrapped around the out-of-bounds ball carrier, but no flag on that one. But the Paris Wildcats find themselves in great field position with a first down, and you've got to like how you've started this game. If you're Paris, you've been known to be a sleepy team occasionally to start out, so you've got to like what you see.
And so once again, out of the gun, Record in motion. They'll hand off to Dawson. Dawson breaks through and makes a man miss, and he'll have a first down.
Gio Dawson showing off the speed, the shiftiness, and that was just blocked really well up front, Steve. And the interior offensive line just parting the center of this Salina defense.
So now inside the 30 at the 28-yard line, and we've seen a little mixture of the single back along with going to that empty gun that they ran a ton last week against Sulphur Springs. And here it'll be Dawson, the single back, next to Heath. Record goes in motion. Fake the snap, throw out to Record, trying to pick something up, makes one man miss and fighting for extra yards, and will be taken down after a couple. And so second down and about 8 coming up.
They throw the ball out there on the edge, and that's kind of where we've seen this offense really shine, is when they can kind of create out on the edge with these swing passes. There's another dimension to this offense, though. They can really hurt you deep down the middle of the field, so they can absolutely be dangerous and hurt Salina in this game.
Trips for the Paris Wildcats at the bottom with Red Finch, the lone receiver on the other side, and Heath throws it middle of the field. It is caught, and that'll be another first down. Marquis Shelton with his second catch on the drive.
We see Tyler Heath fit the ball into a really tight window there. Just playing like he's being the quarterback kind of that we know he can be, being smart and making a really impressive throw there.
Well, not only that, but he was under pressure. He had to step up in the pocket. It's collapsing around him, and he delivers a ball as Paris comes out 4 wide. And here's a snap. They'll go back to the run game with Dawson, who makes a nice cut back to the middle of the field after going through the C gap and picks up 8 or 9 on that run. And, a lot of attention around Bo Bentley, rightfully so. He's been phenomenal, one of the top quarterbacks in the state, headed to Oklahoma. We know all the things. But Tyler Heath, it gives him a chance to prove something here tonight and to put some eyes that, have some big interest in this game on Bentley, on himself as well.
Absolutely. There are top college programs watching this game tonight, and he has the chance to really capture some attention.
Fake the handoff to Dawson and goes to Roberts, and he had a little bit of space, and it looks like Roberts is going to pick up the first down. And so that'll set up 1st and goal for the Paris Wildcats. And I got to say, you punch this one in, and that might rank up there with one of the best drives of the season for Paris.
Absolutely. An incredible way to capture some momentum right at the start.
So they'll hand off to Dawson, and certainly a lot of traffic up front. And he'll pick up, get back to the original line of scrimmage.
First time they've really been able to contain Gio Dawson. He's been able to run the ball very efficiently on this drive. Paris has come out and marched it right down the field, against the top team in their conference in the entire state of Texas. They've done really well to just come out, not be sleepy, and move it right down their throat.
2nd and goal to go for the Wildcats.
They're going to go stack at the bottom. And then a twin set up at the top. Here's the snap. And right away, Heath gets under pressure, and they're going to take him down in the backfield. And I tell you what,
Heath brought down in his back.
pretty, bad timing to – you go backwards 1 yard on your first down play, and then you get knocked back 5 more yards on a sack, and it sets up 3rd and goal from the 14-yard line.
Yeah, a very difficult situation to convert. You have the compressed field here. See what they dial up. I'd look for them to go out on the edge here, send a man in motion, and try to get him in space closer to your camera on the field side.
Meanwhile, looking to the sideline and still looking at a play call with 14 seconds left on the play clock, and so I'm betting we see a timeout from the Paris Wildcats here. Which is pretty interesting. This is now, coming up on a 5.5-minute drive, and there's the timeout. And we're going to step aside and take one with them. Scoreless ball game. Paris looking to punch one in here on game day.
Yay! We're so excited you decided to become a member.
Thanks. I didn't think it would be this easy.
I know. We've opened up memberships so even more people can take advantage of our amazing services.
Are you going to clean this up?
Become a new member and take advantage of all RRCU can offer. Experience the credit union difference anytime, anywhere.
No, seriously, are you going to clean this up?
Do you RRCU?
And back here on game day as the Paris Wildcats face 3rd and goal from the 14. And, Evan, early on in the ball game, this is within James Mitchell's range, but I just kind of get the sense already, kind of knowing Coach Hohenberger, there's the debate of, do you want to take every single point that you possibly can get, or is 3 points not going to beat Salina, right? And I'm betting that if you mention 3 points to Coach Hohenberger, he would scoff and say, 3 points, no, we need to punch this in the end zone.
Absolutely. Look for him to call this just like it's 4-down territory.
Here's the snap out of the timeout. Heath going middle of the field. Got him. No need for that 4th down. It's Baby J, and it will be a Paris Wildcat lead. 6-0 with the extra point still to come, and Baby J has caught fire since the Sulphur Springs game and continues on here tonight.
Absolutely. He had several incredible catches last week, and, you know, you're backed up on your 14. It's 3rd and goal, and they just put it right in the middle of that Salina defense. Jacabrian Record.
You said it.
Very open.
Yeah, you said it at the start of this drive. Paris uses the middle of the field deep, and they do so there to score. 7-0, Paris on top of Salina. We'll be right back here on Game Day.
We're here at the biggest game of the year for the kickoff, and I say these local guys have no competition, John.
No doubt, Stephen. Why sweat in the press box?
When you can sit like a king,
And we got the best seats in the house right here, baby.
where every seat is the best seat.
Oh yeah, Texas Furniture and Appliance. Local since 1927.
These players are definitely in their comfort zone.
You say something?
And back here on Game Day, it'll be the Paris Wildcats ready to kick this one away to Salina. And, okay, you know, one thing, we knew that Salina's defense hasn't been what it has been in the past. We know that their offensive line maybe isn't the O-line that it was a year ago. However, the offense still has a phenomenal quarterback, phenomenal running back, and very capable wide receivers. As James Mitchell tees this one up, the left-footed sophomore for Paris, and hits a squirrely one right at a Celina Bobcat who bobbles it, and then making his way around the edge on the outside with a lot of room to run up near the 45 before being taken down.
Jackson Matlock on the return for Salina.
And that is where Salina will start offensively with some pretty good field position officially at the 46-yard line.
First down.
You know, if you're Paris, you come out in this game and threw a great opening punch. You know, now it's time to see. This is the best competition you faced all year.
And you've played some good competition.
Absolutely. If you're Paris, a D1 commit standing in shotgun formation on this snap.
And Salina moves. That'll be a false start against the Bobcats. Back them up 5. I know Salina wanted, you know, maybe a neutral zone infraction against Paris, but two things. First and foremost, never got into the neutral zone. Paris can move all they want. You just can't cross that ball. And so 1st and 15 for Salina. And they're going to hand off, getting the penalty yardage back and then some. Setting up 2nd down and 8.
Logan Gutierrez on the carry.
Bentley back in the gun. And he's going to have Gutierrez, who you cannot forget about. He is a very good running back. And he's going to pick up a couple more, another 3. And you know, Paris jumped out of there acting like maybe they had the football, but instead it'll be 3rd down and about 5 from the Paris Wildcat 49.
3rd down and 5 at the 49.
4-down territory, no doubt, for Salina at this point in the field.
Yeah, especially if they gain anything here. As Bentley takes the snap, you can bet he's throwing this time. Throws short, and it is broken up, incomplete. And that looked like Red Finch defensively. All right, so 4th and 5, like you said, Bentley's standing there on the field giving some orders.
And it does make sense to go for it here. If you're part of the more of the new school of thought in terms of field position and expected value in football.
Well, now he's going to step back for the pooch punt, and does. Paris had nobody back, and this takes a hard skip. And let's see, down to the 1. So that will be played well by Salina. We mentioned the field position battle before getting this thing started, and so even though Salina started at their own 46, they have to punt it away, and Paris will start from the 1.
Yeah, tough situation to be in if you're Paris. Just, you at all costs, you want to avoid giving up the safety here.
Yeah, what you don't want is to give points to Salina while you're on offense and then have to give the ball back to them. And to do so, they play a lot of single coverage. And I think that I would try to maybe snap and just throw a deep ball out to Red on the boundary type of deal.
Absolutely. Wouldn't feel bad about putting the ball in Tyler Heath's hands. He's a smart guy who knows how to get out of trouble.
Here's the snap, and they're going to do nearly just that. Now, one thing that you can do is you can hard count to your heart's content because everything's going to be half the distance to the goal. The ball practically doesn't move, right? So you can commit as many false starts as you want, and, it'll only move you back a millimeter. So Heath out of the gun. You probably do have to change your play since you kind of started it. And they'll go one snap out to Marquise Shelton. And Marquise Shelton does a phenomenal job of getting out there to the boundary, to the 10. Looks like it's going to set up 2nd and 1. So breathing room.
Absolutely nifty little out route to get out of a bad situation. Now, you're thinking about this maybe – coming onto the field, you might have been thinking about just avoiding disaster, but very different situation you find yourself in all the way up at the 10.
And now your playbook kind of wide open. 2nd and 1 as record goes in motion. Here's the snap. They'll hand off to Dawson. He cuts up, and Dawson will pick up the first down and still fighting for yards. And this is where Gio Dawson is going to be highly valuable at the end of a ball game. He'll push the pile as he comes out for Aldrin Gill. Helmet came off of Dawson, and
we saw him push the pile right there. Couple of different defenders had him short of the line to gain, but Gio Dawson able to generate an extra 4 or 5 yards there, keeping those legs moving.
So 1st and 10 for Paris. And now they've got 5 pass catchers on the field. Aldrin Gill came up as a wide receiver and really has only been a running back this year, his senior year, in a part-time role on offense as Heath rolls out and nearly makes a man miss, but he'll end up going down, and that's a big loss. And he'll lose about 8 on that play, make it 7. And so Paris back in a tough spot.
Yeah, Salina able to get a kind of a difficult sack. Tyler Heath had put a good move, but able to just barely grab him there.
So it'll remain Shelton record. You got Finch on the outside at the top, and that is Keyshawn Roberts going in motion. Snap, hand off, and here's Gill, and Gill's going to get knocked backwards. They're going to lose another yard and bring up 3rd down and about 20, excuse me, 3rd down and 20.
Not a lot in the offensive playbook for this sort of situation.
It's 3rd down and 20 for Wildcats.
Yeah, you're going to have to probably call something with some layering, get Red Finch up deep, and then maybe Marquise Shelton, Jacabrian Record, some intermediate routes, and see if you can't find one of those 3 young men. And then, if you've got to, you're going to have Keyshawn Roberts or Gill down underneath. Heath rolling out, looking downfield, still looking, and, takes the sack. Probably don't need to do that. Just throw it away if there's nothing there. But that'll bring up 4th down and a long, long way after picking up 1 first down. Paris will punt.
Knocked out of bounds at the 4-yard line. It's 4th and 22.
Yeah, not what we saw on the first drive. Saw kind of glimpses of them. Gio Dawson able to pick up that tough first down, but they get driven back and take a big sack, and they'll punt it away.
And an end-over-end punt that skips hard on the ground, and then here comes Salina and they'll have phenomenal field position to get things started on their next drive. And, you know, that's why, you know, we talk about the new age of football. To me, sometimes the new age has it wrong. And Salina showed right there why that is. They punt from around midfield in a 4th and manageable situation, put Paris back to the 1, and, you know, let's go out there, let's play defense, and lo and behold, you put your offense back on the field with a new set of downs at the Paris 34. So here's Bentley with Gutierrez, the back to his right. They'll come out with 4 wide. Here's the snap. Pretty clean pocket, dumping it off underneath, making a move, and picking up close to first down yardage, depending on where that knee went down. And they'll say it's a 9-yard gain to the 25.
Looks to be just short here. You know, yeah, it's like you said, the kind of field position exchange that took place there, them able to pin Paris back, but Paris not able to get a lot on a punt of their own, sets them up very well on this drive.
And now chasing Bentley around. This is an underrated part of his game. Picks up the first down.
Absolutely. You know, there's very few quarterbacks in the modern game who, you know, don't have some kind of mobility to them. That the kind of Tom Brady, Phillip Rivers kind of guy, the pure pocket passer, you know, isn't really a thing in the modern game, I would argue. And Bo Bentley shows off the wheels there.
And Bentley this time dropping back, will throw, has his man, breaks a tackle, trying to find somewhere to go, and finally is stood up. And that'll be a gain of about 5 on first down, setting up 2nd and medium with the clock rolling at around 1:40. Paris still leading 7-0, and Salina in a quick-moving first quarter. It seemed like the first quarter in Sulphur last week was forever. As Bentley takes the snap and hands off to Gutierrez here, and he's got daylight and will walk into the end zone. Touchdown, Salina. And they're an extra point away from tying it up here in Wildcat Stadium.
Yep, Salina able to play that field position very effectively there. Pins Paris back at the 1. You know, and they're not really able to do anything on offense. Starting at the 36, you're not going to hold this offense down for very long.
And for the extra point, snap coming. It's low but handled. Kick is up and it is good. Tie ball game, 7-7. Paris taking the kickoff when we return here on Game Day.
Hey, I'm Josh Charette, project manager with 2B Builders. We're a local GC here in Texarkana. We have Lone Star out here doing our heating and AC. They do a good job for us. We really appreciate the customer service that they provide. I know that at Lone Star Heating and Air, I can always call Matt or Dave, their head commercial HVAC guy, and they will always pick up the phone when I need them. And that's a big thing when we're working out here on these commercial projects. Usually when we're in a bind, we need something and we need it pretty quickly, and we can rely on Lone Star for that.
And back here at Wildcat Stadium, I'd like to thank some of our sponsors, our presenting sponsors, Texas Furniture and Appliance and Red River Credit Union. Thank you guys so very much for being a part of Paris Game Day, making it possible for us to show these games to the community. And if you're watching on Facebook, be sure that you give the game a share to your personal page so that your friends can know where they can watch Paris Wildcat football against the top-ranked Celina Bobcats as Salina gets ready to kick this one away. Red Finch back deep with Keyshawn Roberts. And it looks like it will be Finch around the 5-yard line. Makes a cut back to the middle of the field, now around to the outside, and a good return from Red Finch up to about the 28-yard line. And that's where Tyler Heath and the Paris Wildcats will come out.
Red Finch showing great vision, you know, understands exactly where he is on the field and gets a lot more than he would have if he had stayed in the direction that he started in. You know, if you're Paris in this game, you don't feel like you're completely, like you don't have a chance. You know, your offense has been able to move this ball. You've gotten a stop on defense on one of Salina's 2 possessions. So feel like if you can march this ball down the field and kind of get more of that momentum going, you can absolutely have a chance in this ball game.
Dawson back in to the left of Heath out of the shotgun. Salina in a zone. They throw it out to Roberts, blocked up really well, and a great job on first down.
Yeah, that's record here on the side closer to us. You know, it's like you said last week, these Paris receivers becoming very familiar with the phrase "no block, no rock." Obviously, him with the touchdown on the last drive, there's a great block out there on the edge.
And that's what you call a complete receiver, man. I mean, a guy who can go out there and bully a corner and then on the other end make a play and a catch in the middle of the field. As Paris is going to get hit, they'll end up at 2nd and 10 after we talk about how this isn't some impossible task against Salina. It's not the same game that it felt like it was a year ago. However, you still need to avoid those types of things.
That's right, and you absolutely can't beat yourself in this matchup.
They're asking the clock operator to wind the clock, and they finally do as Paris hands off to Dawson, who gets a good run going, and he'll pick up that penalty yards lost, and that should take us into the second quarter. It'll be 3rd down and 6 for the Paris Wildcats. On the other side of this, we'll go ahead and make sure that they don't run up to the ball and run a play, but Tyler Heath is walking to the sideline, so that'll do it for quarter number 1. Tie ball game between Paris and Salina here on Game Day.
Ready to rep your school and your wallet?
I'm here to open a student account and score that sweet school debit card.
With no monthly fees, mobile banking, and a debit card that shows your school pride, our student account is built for your game plan.
Get in the game. Open yours today.
First Federal Community Bank, the only bank you'll ever need.
First Federal Community Bank, the only bank you'll ever need.
Back on Game Day as Paris and Salina tied up. And, a year ago, Salina was number 4 to start the season, crawled up to number 3, and there was the 3-4 battle between them and Panther Creek, and that was the first game of district play a season ago, and that's where you honestly kind of looked at this thing with Salina and said, okay, they beat them by 40. And so everybody was like, hey, well, who's going to be the one? And it ended up being no one. They won state by 30. This year, started season number 1, still ranked number 1, undefeated, but you don't get that sense of invincibility that I felt Salina had a year ago.
Absolutely, and we've seen so far in this game, there absolutely are wrinkles in this team, evidenced earlier this season as well.
They're going to go to that diamond quads formation, top of your screen. Heath takes the snap, throwing inside, and Coach Hohenberger's saying he's got my guy hooked at the top of that route, and that's intended for Humphrey, but it'll bring up 4th down and 6.
Pass intended for Jeremiah Humphrey comes up incomplete.
So now if you're Paris, if you're thinking about sending this one away, you're in your own territory.
Yeah, you're definitely sending this one away. You'll hard count. And then we have a false start against Paris, knowing that you're not snapping the ball.
To be record in the slot. Almost took off. It's kind of halfway into his route there.
And despite that, I'm still fully convinced that they were never going to run a play there. And now they'll send, Tyler Heath as the punter. It's kind of like if they give us a certain look, we might actually take it and run a play. Boots Harper is, we need to hit a bomb, and it'll be taken by Salina, and there's Little block in the back action, but that doesn't get called, and Salina's going to end up with phenomenal territory. They might end up in the end zone, and, yeah, it looks like they're going to. Touchdown, Salina. I don't see any flags, and that's unfortunate because around midfield, a young man did, catch one in the back.
Absolutely. A very messy return down the field. Salina, catches a big break there. Just disaster on special teams if you're Paris.
And so it'll be the extra point unit for Salina, taking a 13-7 lead with just over 11 and a half minutes to go in the second quarter. Kick is up, and it is good. Paris taking the kickoff when we return right around the corner here on Game Day.
Hello, everyone. I'm Jason with Golden Corral in Texarkana. I've got big cheers going out to Lone Star Heating and Air. I talked with Matt Shirley over at Lone Star Heating and Air. They actually came out, looked to see what we needed. They ordered the supplies or the equipment and everything. They came in and they did the install. They did 2 units in one day with no business disruptions whatsoever. Thanks to Lone Star Heating and Air, we got our air up and going and everything's running good.
Back here on Game Day as the Paris Wildcats struck first, but Salina has reeled off 14 straight points. And back deep, Marquise Shelton, Keyshawn Roberts, and Red Finch. Red had a solid return last time, and Paris, that first drive was a thing of beauty. I mean, that was big boy football, professional offense. And since then, it's been all Salina. And this kick is going to go high and taken around the 7-8 yard line, cutting back to the middle of the field and staying on his feet for the meantime. And going to get back to around the 20 yard line, and that's where Paris will start this possession. Once upon a time in the NFL, a touchback would go to the 20. I don't know if you youngsters remember those days when you had to go 80 yards, and now they'll put it at the 40 in some circumstances, some situations.
I wonder how old would you be now if you can't remember when it came to the 20? I think that was a 2018 change, so it'd have to be kindergarten, first grade age at the oldest.
Okay, all right. So I'm not dating myself too bad there. Paris comes out 4 wide, single back, Dawson next to Heath. Man in motion to show man coverage for Salina. They're bringing some pressure. Paris throwing deep and, a lot of contact, and they're just going to say that it was not a catchable ball.
Yeah, I mean, you think maybe it would have been catchable if his path down the field wasn't impeded as it was.
And so that'll set up 2nd down and 10 for the Paris Wildcats. Ball shaded to the left hash.
How vitally important is this possession if you're Paris, Steven? I mean, with Salina getting the ball at halftime, you can really start to find yourself in a difficult situation here.
Out of the gun, Heath takes the snap, handoff Dawson. He'll pick up 1. And it's so vital to get the run game going, and Dawson is certainly a young man who can stay ahead of the chains. When you say stay ahead of the chains, 1 yard technically is that. But you got to block it up, and you're going to need about 4, 5, 6 on those types of runs.
Absolutely. To run your most efficient offense. They really couldn't get the run going last week against Sulphur Springs. See what they have here on 3rd and 9.
Roberts, that's the man in motion. Here's the snap. Heath looking, great protection. Time runs out, reversing course, and he's going to be taken down. Of course, his forward progress, man, that is a long way to let them ride Tyler Heath.
Yeah, the play not blown dead until he was almost out of the back of the end zone there.
And so Paris will be forced to punt. And what you haven't really seen on the last couple of drives is that short passing game. We did see, I think it was Keyshawn Roberts on the previous drive, but it looks like they attacked downfield, going down the boundary to Shelton, and then certainly a little bit of a longer developing route that time as Boots puts a good hit on it and taken around the 40. Paris trying to track. They gave up. There's a flag down, and this is another big-time return inside the red zone. But there is a flag down.
And what we've seen so far in this game, just whistles that are extraordinarily late after contact. I mean, there was a good 5 or 6 seconds there. You would have thought the ball carrier was down.
Well, and at least in that case, there's some movement. Earlier, whenever it was Tyler Heath, and I know that people feel like, yeah, quarterbacks protect them. Maybe they're a little too protected in football this day and age. But they stopped his forward progress at the 5, right? That's where the ball was spotted. Tyler Heath gets taken down at the top of the letters in the end zone where it says Paris, which is 15 more yards down the field. And so I'm just kind of like, well, I don't know, man. Maybe
Yeah, when a good seven defenders have a part in bringing down Tyler Heath.
And then take him to the ground at that, but nonetheless, the personal foul penalty wipes out a big return from Salina, and they'll start at midfield.
Yeah, brutal spot foul for Salina. That's over 30 yards of field position with the block in the back.
In neutral territory at the 50, handoff Gutierrez. He's hit and will possibly lose a yard here. And that'll set up second down and 11. So a great job by that defensive front, including the sophomore Jackson Threadgill. Jabraylon Hughes in there as well. He'll come out of the game, and Jeremiah Robinson will check in. So a couple of sophomores down on that defensive front now for Paris. Here's the snap. Bentley looking to throw. Middle of the field, has a man. First down and more inside the 30.
Kind of a natural pick, drive concept there on the field side. You saw Gill just really not able to carry him across the formation there, and leads to a big gain over the middle.
And then the receiver, Mayfield, put on a pretty wicked move to keep the run going, as they're going to show a little power up front. Here's the snap. Bentley going deep, and this ball tipped and intercept. No! Incomplete. Man, Red Finch had a hand on it. And I hope Red's okay, as he's down, and sometimes that might just be getting a wrist rolled up under you or something of the sort. Not going to speculate on what's going on there, but we're going to step aside for an injury timeout. We'll be right back here on Game Day.
At Moore Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram of Paris, we can make your next vehicle purchase simple, stress-free, and built around you. Whether you're looking for a rugged Ram truck, an adventurous Jeep, or a quality pre-owned, we have the right vehicle for you at the right price. And with over 700 five-star reviews, our customers know that our friendly, knowledgeable staff is here for you. So come see us off the loop in Paris, Texas, and for more details, visit moorecdjr.com. At Moore Chrysler.
And we are back here on Game Day. Red walking off under his own power and not favoring much of anything, which is a phenomenal sign. So perhaps you get the breath knocked out of you, something of the sort. Man, that was an incredible play to get a hand on the ball and nearly came down with the interception. And I got to say, I know that Red has had a great year as a receiver. I think that he is physically exactly what teams would like to have at the next level in a corner, as Celina runs this one up the middle, and pushing some forward progress to make it 3rd down and about 7.
Very fortunate for the Wildcats. Red Finch gets up and walks to the sideline unassisted. He's a huge part of this Wildcats team on both sides of the ball.
So 3rd and 8 officially, as Bentley looking to the sideline, 4 wide. Gutierrez the back, switches from left to right. Here's the snap. Bentley looking left, has time, throws underneath. 1st down, Salina, and dragged down around the 10-yard line. And that ball did come out at the end, but certainly entirely feel like he was down. And so 1st and goal for Salina.
Red Finch checks back in the game. Fortunate for Paris, he had a near interception in the red zone that you think could have been a major difference in this game.
Yeah, tough play. He made an incredible play regardless to break it up. Getting that ball tipped in the air, was nearly able to make something really special happen. And now Salina's going big up front, and it'll be Gutierrez walking into the end zone for the touchdown, and Salina extends their lead 20-7 over the Paris Wildcats with the extra point still to come. And now you're in a situation where certainly your offense has got to answer. You've got to come up with something where you can put together another drive just like that first one, as the extra point is up, and it is good. 21-7 with 7:08 remaining in the half. We'll be right back here on Game Day.
Sorry you're under the weather, Susie. Here are those loan docs.
Thanks, James. I'm so glad we didn't have to delay this closing.
Tissue?
Thanks.
Secure and safe loan closings, or take care of just about any banking task. Experience the credit union difference. Anytime, anywhere. With RRCU's digital banking. Do you RRCU?
And back on Paris Game Day, where the Wildcats have fallen behind 21-7 to Salina. Scored the first 7 points. A 71-yard drive to open this ball game up, and it has been tough sledding ever since. But one offensive drive and one stop, can really turn your momentum, turn your attitude around. And a high short kick, fair catch called by Jacabrian Record. And that is where Paris will start this offensive drive. They've started 3 out of their 4 offensive drives here tonight from the 28 or 29. The other started from the 1-yard line.
This is, and this is where you can start to get desperate as an offense. Down 2 touchdowns about midway through the second quarter. Absolutely have to have something here. Obviously, Salina, as you like to say, getting 3 out of 4 possessions potentially on either side of halftime.
Yeah, a lot of people say 2 for 1 because you get the ball at the end of the first half to start the second half, and then you give the ball to your opponent. In my eyes, okay, but then they get the ball after that as well. So 1 stop on defense, you could go 21 straight. As Heath drops back, he's going to throw deep. He's got a man and caught Marquise Shelton. They did that on first down on the previous drive. It wasn't there. This time it was placed perfectly.
And Shelton just throws a nasty move out there along the sideline. Just torches a man for a big gain.
And Heath, empty backfield. They go back to the short game, which they had kind of gotten away from on the last couple of drives. And this will be close to first down yardage again, and it looks like it's 10 for the Paris Wildcats.
Paris with some pep in their step. They know it's go time right now. They've got to march this right down the field and put it in the end zone.
They're going to go a empty set, 5 wide. Heath with the snap, rolling to his right, looking, throws up to Dawson and getting turned around. This ball a little bit beyond the boundary. And a flag comes out late. And I know that, this ball is placed a little bit on the white or the blue. Let's see what this call is.
It's like, is that a red flag?
Pink. October, brother.
Oh, okay.
Holding on the defense, so that'll be an automatic first down for Paris as well.
We saw Salina sideline going crazy over a potential missed holding in pursuit of Tyler Heath, but and they end up getting called for it on the back end. Tyler Heath taking a shot down the field.
And as you say that, you got a coach out near the numbers for Salina talking to the official. But I can guarantee you that won't help him much. I don't know many coaches who have ever won that battle.
Yeah, not a good look if you're an official to negotiate with either team's coach.
So out of the gun, Roberts in motion. Heath takes the snap, has to bail. Rolling to his left, squares up and just throws this one away. Well out of the pocket, beyond the line of scrimmage. We'll go to 2nd and 10.
And, we knew coming into this game, pass protection for Paris was going to be vitally important, but Tyler Heath is a man who can handle pressure, but he's been running for his life on some of these downs,
And you got to know that Salina very well understands freshman left tackle. If there is any position that is tough to play as a freshman, you're talking quarterback and then left tackle. Here's the snap. Handoff Dawson. Dawson around the right side and then kind of suplexed down around the 16-yard line.
The freshman left tackle in question, Jaquavis Allen, has done an excellent job at what you can argue is the most important position on that offensive line with a right-handed quarterback. Stepping into that role as just a freshman, is a feat in its own right, but Paris going to have to protect Tyler Heath better if they want any chance of getting back in this game.
One thing that does help you is being able to get 5-6 yards a pop from your running back, as it looks like Paris is going to have to burn their second timeout here. And we're going to step aside and take a timeout with them. 21-7, Salina leads. Paris knocking at the door here on Game Day.
At Raffaele Property Management, keeping our tenants comfortable is a top priority. That's why we trust Lone Star Heat and Air. They've always been dependable, quick to respond, and their work is top-notch. Whether it's routine service or an urgent call, they take care of it with professionalism and care. We couldn't recommend Lone Star Heat and Air more for anyone looking for a reliable HVAC service.
And back here on Game Day, 3rd down and 4 for the Paris Wildcats. And again, we had this conversation on the first Paris Wildcat drive. Your kicker can make it from here. I fully believe that this is within James Mitchell's reach, but 21-7, 3 is not going to get it done. You've got 2 opportunities to pick up this first down, and they're going to have Aldrin Gill in the backfield.
And, Steven, burning those 2 timeouts, getting a play in the game, the clock is your biggest enemy right now because it's just about perfectly lining up for Salina to have the last possession before half and the first possession after half.
And they're going to throw it out to Gill. It's intercepted. And they knew exactly what was coming. Tried the wheel route. And Salina steps right in front of it. And now the Paris Wildcat defense will come out and try to, put a Band-Aid on this thing for right now.
And, Steven, that interception can really catapult you right into your nightmare scenario if you're Paris. Salina, obviously, what they have in mind is marching this right down the field, taking a lot of time off the clock, taking 5 minutes 50, taking this all the way down. And by the time you get the ball next, if you're Paris, you could be down 4 scores. That's really not a situation you want to be in, obviously, against the number 1 team in your conference.
And so I know a lot of people, the fear is Bo Bentley. I'm telling you, 550, you're about to get a lot of that man, Gutierrez. Because like you said, they're going to want to churn that clock. And even though, Bentley is the big name, Oklahoma commit, you're going to hear it all night, right? Gutierrez is very, very good in his own right. And I think we have a player down. And it is from the Salina side, and I think that is Gutierrez. He's sitting up, so, well, he was sitting up. All right, so we will step aside for an injury timeout, and we will be right back here on Game Day.
Yay! We're so excited you decided to become a member.
Thanks, I didn't think it would be this easy.
I know. We've opened up memberships so even more people can take advantage of our amazing services.
Are you gonna clean this up?
Become a new member and take advantage of all RRCU can offer. Experience the credit union difference anytime, anywhere.
No, seriously, are you gonna clean this up?
Do you RRCU?
So Logan Gutierrez walking off. Mild support, mostly under his own power. Looked like they were stretching out a cramp. And so 2nd down and 6 for Salina coming up. They will wind the clock here in just a second. Everybody gets in place. And now I would expect maybe a little bit more of Bentley as this run goes for very little. Jeremiah Robinson in on that tackle. Man, I'm excited about some of these sophomore defensive linemen, Jackson Threadgill, Jeremiah Robinson. Those are a couple of young men that, they don't get the shine. They don't get their name called every single week, but every single week they are making a play. 3rd down and short for Salina. And if you could get a stop here, that would be monumental for the Paris Wildcats. It'll be Bentley picking his way through. He has the 1st down. And when I say at the sticks, I mean right at the sticks.
Absolutely. If you're Salina, absolutely vital to pick up the 1st down there. You got all this momentum. You just got a turnover. Your foot is directly on the Paris Wildcats' throat. If you're Salina, punting it right back to them there kind of would have squandered a lot of momentum from the perspective of Salina.
So everybody for Paris up, and this is trouble. Free ball down the sideline, and then finally taken out by Wallace around the 34-yard line. But that was disaster from the jump. I mean, everybody was within 5 yards of the line of scrimmage. Man coverage, you jump into the neutral zone and give Salina a free play, and they took advantage of it.
And that's kind of the first flash of brilliance we've seen from Bo Bentley. Just a dime down the sideline on the go route. Kind of a free play. You have everybody go vertical, and they hurt Paris dearly for it.
Probably going back to the run game. And instead, dropping back under pressure, throws short and reversing course. And, man, I tell you what, this is the young man who scored on the punt return. And you can see why as L.J. Taylor pushes it inside the 10-yard line. And that guy is shifty. He's kind of small, but he can absolutely stop on a dime and accelerate.
Absolutely. Get, several points. You'd think they'd have him dead to rights there. Almost like, if you've ever had to, if your cat's ever had some sort of external parasite, maybe you got to give him a bath. That's what it's about like to try to catch him, to put him in the water.
Never had to do that, but would imagine that it's difficult.
cat owners out there know what I'm talking about.
I've got 4 of them. I've just never had to experience that. And so I'm not sure if something happened after the play, but they backed this one up to around the 12-yard line. And now they're going to show a little power with an I formation. Single receiver, fake the handoff, and then, right up the gut, right up the seam. Touchdown. And that was, we're going to show you something. Look at this hand, and then they swing with the other. And, you said something earlier that they haven't really featured Bo Bentley. They haven't really asked him, hey, go do something miraculous. Go do something that really highlights why you're this D1 commit. Up until that throw down the sideline. Otherwise, how many high school quarterbacks do you think make that throw for that touchdown? There's a lot. A lot of quarterbacks can hit a wide open guy 12 yards up the field. So that's a tip of the cap to the offensive play caller.
Yay! We're so excited you decided to become a member. Yay! We're so excited you decided to become a member.
Thanks, I didn't think it would be this easy.
I know. We've opened up memberships so even more people can take advantage of our amazing services.
Are you gonna clean this up?
Become a new member and take advantage of all RRCU can offer. Experience the credit union difference anytime, anywhere.
No, seriously, are you gonna clean this up?
Do you RRCU?
Back here on game day, it'll be the Paris Wildcats taking this kick. 1 timeout, 3:46. You kind of feel like you have got to do something here while also not taking too much of a risk and giving Salina the football to score before the half again. As they will boot this one away. Taken around the 5-yard line. Here's Marquise Shelton looking for room, and he will be taken down short of the 20.
And you mentioned not wanting to be too risky, but if I'm calling the offense here, I'm down 3 touchdowns. It's late in the second half. I'm taking every risk I can think of. I'm opening up that whole playbook because
I can see that.
There's very few paths to winning this game at this point, and all of those possibilities involve, chucking this one deep time and time again.
You know what? I will take back what I said, and you're exactly right. You're going to have to take those risks.
Why not?
Yeah, I mean, lose by 2, lose by 30, 40, it's a loss is a loss, especially when you're playing against Salina. Points aren't really going to be the issue here, as this one, really had a chance with Keyshawn Roberts just fired high.
Yeah, Keyshawn Roberts had a lot of open space in front of him. He's a guy that we know can make some people miss in the open field.
Yeah, that's the guy that you want to get the ball in his hands in open space. It'll be 2nd down and 10. Ball at the 19-yard line. Jacabrian Record, Fabian Brown. Roberts and Shelton at the bottom of your screen. They're going to hand off Dawson. And Dawson will pick up 3, maybe 4. And that'll bring up 3rd down and 6. And that's the type of thing that, you want that. You want 4, 5, 6 yards a pop. You've been getting that from Gio Dawson here tonight. Problem is, do you pick up the rest on this 3rd down? And that's been a challenge ever since that first drive.
3rd and 6 at the 23.
Trips at the top. Heath. Snap back, looking downfield, under pressure, rolls out, throws underneath, caught by Humphrey, and he's able to escape one would-be tackler, and it'll be a 1st down for Paris.
1st down and a vital one at that. If you can march down the field and score this, that's going to be a much easier situation to manage at halftime from a coaching perspective if you're down 2 touchdowns as opposed to 3.
Here's the snap, and now flag comes out. And is this a false start against Paris? Let's see. There's flags on both sides of the field. And, yeah, false start. And that's the kind that's really tough to tell exactly what went on, as it looked like the play had started, but obviously they saw something a little bit prior to that play starting. So 1st and 15 for the Paris Wildcats. Heath out of the gun, takes a snap, handoff Dawson. Dawson gets the penalty yards back, maybe +1, and that'll set up 2nd and 9. And again, getting, pretty good push from the offensive line, picking up 5-6 yards a pop. There's the 2-minute timeout added to high school this season, and Paris Wildcats looking to move the ball. We'll be right back here on Game Day.
We're here at the biggest game of the year for the kickoff, and I say these local guys have no competition, John.
No doubt, Stephen. Why sweat in the press box?
When you can sit like a king.
And we got the best seats in the house right here, baby.
Where every seat is the best seat.
Oh, yeah. Texas Furniture and Appliance. Local since 1927.
These players are definitely in their comfort zone.
You say something?
Back here on Game Day, a big thank you to First Federal Community Bank and more CDJR. Thank you guys so very much for making Paris Game Day possible for this community. We have greatly enjoyed highlighting these student athletes from all of our schools in Lamar County. And right now we've got Paris versus Salina with the Wildcats trailing 28-7, looking to put together a final drive here in the first half. As Heath steps back to throw, they throw the inside screen to Red, and it goes to the ground. Incomplete. 3rd and 9 coming up.
A 3rd and 9, which, you got to think Salina's going to take a timeout. And being down 4 touchdowns at half with Salina, is obviously going to get the ball to start the second half. Almost a situation, you might think is not, that you can't recover from.
So Paris huddled up around the 30. They'll break that huddle. Ball at the 38-yard line. And they need the 47 for a first down. Here's the snap. Heath moving to his right, throwing, has a man. It's Red, and this time he hangs on to it for a big gain. And Paris, they're in business inside the 40 at the 37-yard line.
Red Finch was wide open along the sideline there. Miscommunication and a busted coverage in the back end by Salina. And, Paris finding themselves in 3rd and long, catches a lucky break. Now we'll move the ball all the way into plus territory, and let's see what they can do here.
Great job by Heath getting the pressure from the middle, rolling to the outside, keeping his eyes up. And now pump, and they throw underneath to Red, and he fumbles, but I think Paris was able to come up with it and, in addition, actually pick up a couple of yards. But they also got to get moving.
Yeah, Paris catches a lucky break there, only 1 timeout. They do have to move with urgency here in this 2-minute drill.
5 wide, empty gun, throwing out to Red one more time, and he'll push it ahead for a first down. And this is the type of offense that we saw in that first drive. You've hit the big one down the sideline to Finch, but otherwise it's been short stuff, catch and run. And that is something that these Paris Wildcat receivers certainly can do. Each and every one of them can move with the football in their hands. Heath out of the gun. Snap back, looking left, moving out to his right, throws, and this one's going into the end zone, and it's broken up. I think he was looking for red and able to get a hand on it was Salina to set up 2nd and 10 from the 25.
You would have looked for Maddox McCoy, number 4 of Salina, to make a little bit more of an effort on that ball. I mean, it looked like it was right within his catch radius. He only gets one paw out for it, and a lucky break for Paris again on this drive after recovering their own fumble.
Man comes in motion. That's record as they're setting up a screen underneath, and it's dropped. And Paris, I would say with the exception of that interception opportunity for Salina, as well as Paris has moved the ball here, they've had a couple of drops. They've had the fumble, and they're not entirely sharp, but still able to move the ball.
Absolutely. Paris kind of being bailed out with, just how much talent they have at the skill positions on this offense.
They're going to go 4 wide with Dawson, the single back, picking up a block, and Tyler Heath goes down. Just too much pressure. And now Salina will call a timeout with 57 seconds.
And Steven, if there was any inkling of a field goal, you got to think taking a sack there does wipe it away.
Well, yeah, you're not. Field goals just aren't going to be a thing in this game, man. I mean, regardless, not for Paris anyway, because three's not going to help you. We've talked about that a couple of times, but timeout on the field, 28-7. We'll be right back here on Game Day.
Hey, I'm Josh Charette, project manager with 2B Builders. We're a local GC here in Texarkana. We have Lone Star out here doing our heating and AC. They do a good job for us. We really appreciate the customer service that they provide. I know that at Lone Star Heating and Air, I can always call Matt or Dave, their head commercial HVAC guy, and they will always pick up the phone when I need them. And that's a big thing when we're working out here on these commercial projects. Usually when we're in a bind, we need something and we need it pretty quickly, and we can rely on Lone Star for that.
Back here on Game Day as the Paris Wildcats facing 4th and 16, and this is going to be interesting because they have 1 minute on the clock. We'll make that adjustment there. They have 1 minute on the clock. It's 4th down. The play takes some time away. Salina has 2 timeouts. We'll see how this shapes up. Tyler Heath takes the snap, and there's pressure, and he's going to go down again. And, stuff developing downfield is just a tough task for this offensive line to hold up, and that's going to be the 3rd sack on Tyler Heath here in the first half, the 2nd on that drive.
And this line of pressure has just been suffocating all game long, and they come up big there. Paris kind of going for it on 4th and 16, kind of feeling like they're on their last gasp. And
the thing is, Evan, we talked about how, we've seen Bo Bentley, but the throws he's made have been a lot of, well-schemed offensive designs. Brother, we're about to see him. They're about to tell us, here's what this guy's got. And pushing the ball up near midfield on this first down, 43 seconds and 2 timeouts.
Absolutely. And you kind of mentioned it earlier in the broadcast how, you feel like Salina's star has faded a little bit, but they're still an incredible and complete team that can beat you in so many ways.
So Bentley looking to the sideline, and, that time started out left and good protection, made his way to the right, took what the defense gave him. And this time looking left, throwing left, there's the dart. And, man, you talk about highlighting. How's that? That is a big boy throw on a line.
As we see another, kind of late whistle. If officiating crew we have in tonight, kind of letting these play out with maybe a little bit more liberally than average.
Here's the snap. Paris bringing pressure and taken down in bounds, and that's pretty good because they're going to have to burn a timeout.
And if I'm Paris, from a defensive perspective, I feel like you've got a lot of guys who really succeed in man coverage. I'm going to bring that type of pressure over and over again for the rest of this game. Pack the box and rush the quarterback heavily on every snap.
Well, like you said, we're going to keep it here on game day with 15 seconds remaining in the half. You're at kind of a what do you have to lose point, right? So you can bring the pressure, and if they burn you, well, it's Salina. You're down 21. There's really no difference between 28 and 21 at this point. They're going to get the ball to start the second half. So, yeah, you can, and they adjust the clock on the scoreboard to 19 seconds. We'll do the same. But, yeah, why not bring pressure? Kind of like you were saying earlier, why not throw down the field and, take some risks?
Absolutely, Steven, because you're about one touchdown away in this game from, maybe looking at some of your young men who might be starters and playmakers next year, once they've matured just a bit.
So Bentley out of the gun, and they're certainly going to want him to finish this drive off. Takes a snap, rolling out right. Garcia in pursuit, but getting the pass out to the sideline, and I think he escaped and scored. He does. And that, once again, was L.J. Taylor, and that's his second time into the end zone, one being on a punt return for a touchdown.
And that was just a very impressive tiptoe along the sideline into the end zone, keeps that balance, keeps the leverage in bounds, and Salina all but puts this one away.
So here's the snap. The extra point is up and good. 35-7, 35 straight points from Salina. We will be right back here on Game Day.
Ready to rep your school and your wallet?
I'm here to open a student account and score that sweet school debit card.
With no monthly fees, mobile banking, and a debit card that shows your school pride, our student account is built for your game plan.
Get in the game. Open yours today.
First Federal Community Bank, the only bank you'll ever need.
First Federal Community Bank, the only bank you'll ever need.
Marquise Shelton, along with Red Finch and Keyshawn Roberts, back deep for the Paris Wildcats to receive this kick. 11 seconds remaining in the first half. So, barring something pretty incredible from this kickoff return, you're probably going to go into the half. This one is hit high and deep, taken by Red around the 5-yard line as he will push it up around the sideline and be taken down close to the 25. 6 seconds remaining. And so certainly probably go out there, take a knee, and we head into the half.
Absolutely. And, just it's kind of the point. You want to get your team into halftime, say first half didn't really go our way, but, there were some things to build on offense. We were able to move the ball a little bit. We ran despite a few mistakes, a competent 2-minute drill. Yeah. Kind of get them ready to face this Salina team, this very talented Salina team in the second half.
Yeah, and you go into the second half and you probably tell the kids, look, we want to start 0-0, right? As here's Giovanni Dawson. Nice run on first down. That's going to do it for the first half. And we will run a few of our sponsors' ads for you guys, let you know the incredible people that are making Paris Game Day happen in our community, and then we will bring you halftime featuring the Paris Wildcat Blue Blazes Band here on Game Day.
Hey, I'm Josh Charette, project manager with 2B Builders. We're a local GC here in Texarkana. We have Lone Star out here doing our heating and AC. They do a good job for us. We really appreciate the customer service that they provide. I know that at Lone Star Heating and Air, I can always call Matt or Dave, their head commercial HVAC guy, and they will always pick up the phone when I need them. And that's a big thing when we're working out here on these commercial projects. Usually when we're in a bind, we need something and we need it pretty quickly, and we can rely on Lone Star for that. Hey, I'm Josh
Moore Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram of Paris, we can make your next vehicle purchase simple, stress-free, and built around you. Whether you're looking for a rugged Ram truck, an adventurous Jeep, or a quality pre-owned, we have the right vehicle for you at the right price. And with over 700 five-star reviews, our customers know that our friendly, knowledgeable staff is here for you. So come see us off the loop in Paris, Texas, and for more details, visit moorecdjr.com. At Moore Chrysler.
Hello everyone, I'm Jason with Golden Corral in Texarkana. I've got big cheers going out to Lone Star Heating and Air. I talked with Matt Shirley over at Lone Star Heating and Air. They actually came out, looked to see what we needed. They ordered the supplies or the equipment and everything. They came in and they did the install. They did 2 units in 1 day with no business disruptions whatsoever. Thanks to Lone Star Heating and Air, we got our air up and going and everything's running good.
This year's dance officers are Second Lieutenant Amaris Reyna, First Lieutenant Addie Wiseman, and your Captain Annabelle Forner. Social officers are Avery Talkington and Charlotte Caulfield. This week's Miss Drill Team is Hannah Flake. And Spirit Girl of the Week is Mila Bakai. The Las Catitas Drill Team is under the direction of Susie Simpson. This week they're performing a kick routine to Knock on Wood. The Las Catitas orange sponsors are 3D Dance, Worldwide Lentech, Atmos Energy, the Caulfield Law Firm, Goldfish Medical Staffing, iSource, 708 Studios, Rex Real Estate, Advanced Plumbing Solutions, Corbridge Orthodontics, Automation Integration, and Rayleigh's Crew. Thank y'all and go Bobcats.
Ladies and gentlemen, Celina High School proudly presents the 2022, 2023, and 2024 back-to-back-to-back UIL State Champion Bobcat Band from Salina, Texas. Tonight, the Bobcat Band will be performing part of their 2025 competition show entitled Notre Dame de Paris. The band is under the field direction of drum majors Kareem Kajawa, Kanan Schaefer, Cadence Spinner, and Addison Rodriguez. Color guard captains are Natalie Henley and Ariana Butanis. The band would like to thank our sponsors: CMMD Development, Nicole Wyrick Photography, North Texas Observation, Texas Amps and Axes, Lowe's, Milestone Construction, New Life Image, Omni Spine Pain Management, and Rex Real Estate. gentlemen, the Celina Bobcat Marching Band. The band is under the direction of John Weddle, Jake Hilly, and Daniel Allen. The color guard instructor is Alicia Whipke. Thank you and go Bobcats!
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Tonight, we proudly present the Paris High School Blazettes under the direction of Amber Musgrove. Blazette officers, Lieutenant Zeddy Guzman, Lieutenant Kylie Davis, and Captain April Medina. Blazette of the Week is Bailey Welch. Tonight, the Blazettes will be performing their routine to the hit song, I'm Still Standing, played by the amazing Paris High Blue Blazes Band. Thank you, Wildcat Nation, for your continued support, and we hope you enjoy the performance. To continue the halftime performance, please welcome to the field the Paris High School Blue Blazes Band. The band is under the field direction of drum majors Stephanie Gutierrez, Malia Nichols, and Julia Mori. Soloists tonight are Miranda Hernandez on alto saxophone, Sandy Gomez on flute, Cameron Preston on bass clarinet, and Lindsay Holloman on mellophone. Wildcats of the Week are Jemiah Wallace, Tanya Mendoza, and Karen Luna. Section of the week is the seniors. At the edge of the world, where nature is still wild, mysterious colors weave their way through the night sky. Tonight, we are presenting our competition show, including number 1, No Place Like Home, and Eleanor Rigby. Please enjoy the Paris Blue Blazes Band and Skyfire.
should have played high school football because like dudes have been telling me like they'll go on a first date and show them their huddle highlights or whatever. I kind of wish I had like some of those.
I thought he was a white kid, running the track. Back like I can tell you. They lost the other day. Threw through a Hail Mary from like a 35-yard line into the end zone.
And we're back here on game day. Fantastic performance from the Blue Blazes band. Wrapping up halftime as the Paris Wildcats come back out onto the field. Trailing Salina 35-7, and it's been 35 straight points from the Celina Bobcats. And, you know, for Paris, what you have to do now is come out with a 0-0 mentality. Obviously, you would love to go out and win this ball game, right? You would love for the spectacular to occur. But this is the number one team in the state. Odds are they're not going to squander a 28-point lead, especially taking the ball to start the second half. And so if you're Paris, what you really need to do as Salina takes the field to receive the second half kickoff is get momentum going into your bye week. Have that 0-0 mentality. If this game were to end up, let's say, 42-21, that means you would have won the second half 14-7. There are no moral victories. I get that, but you can look at that as a positive going into the bye, things that you need to correct, and things that, you know, to be competitive come playoff time, as James Mitchell lines this one up, ready to get quarter number 3 underway. The lefty sophomore. Is it still southpaw if it's his foot? And he drills this one into the back of the end zone. And you know what? Just looking at the body language and, you know, some of the blocks that were made, even though he kicked that one out of the back of the end zone, I like what I saw. There was some aggressiveness, some bravado. And so let's see what Paris does coming out here.
You know, a couple different ways to look at this one. You know, you could say, yeah, you're down 28 in this game. You know, coming out, they're getting the ball to start the second half. But, you know, if you get a big stop right here, you know, you can punch it in the end zone, do that one more time, and then repeat that another time. You can really change the complexion of this ball game. There's still an entire second half of ball to be played here with the Paris team that looks energized and ready to go.
First snap, handoff, and riding Chris Garcia along with Davion Harrison for a first down.
They get a big gain up the middle there, but, you know, still not kind of.
Here's the snap. Bentley, a lot of pressure. They've beautifully set up the screen and get a couple of blocks. Finally, Harrison and Red Finch will take the ball carrier down across midfield. And Finch, who was shaken up earlier in the first half, gets up slowly, but gets up under his own power.
Definitely great to see, you know, if you're Paris, him, you know, get up from that injury and go in the second half. So you're going to need him if you have any hope of making a postseason run.
Fake the handoff, looking and under pressure, taken down. Chris Garcia, Cam Floyd, and company coming up big for the Paris Wildcats, and that's the first time they've gotten to Bo Bentley.
That looked a lot like what we've seen Salina be able to do, you know, collapse that pocket, really just give the quarterback nowhere to go.
Esteban Guzman in on that sack as well as Bentley. Out of the gun. Second down and 15 for Salina. And you love seeing that coming out. You know, we're still going to crank it up, faking the handoff, and once again getting through and batting that pass down. And they're going to throw a pretty late flag out here on Brandon Shores, and that ball was well underthrown.
Yeah, and likely what we'll see here is, Steven's least favorite variety of pass interference, the underthrown ball.
All right, what do you do about it? Do you just give up, get on top of the receiver instead of underneath him because he's coming back and runs into you? And, yeah, it's just kind of almost this, like, guaranteed cheap way out. So that'll give a first down to Salina. And it's not just my least favorite. There's a lot, I'm not alone. Bentley out of the gun, sends a man in motion, takes the snap, and rifles it out. And Brandon Shores, staying aggressive, makes that tackle after about a gain of 3.
It's a great tackle by Shores out on the edge. If you're going to generate a stop on this drive, getting the sack wiped away by the pass interference is definitely a tough break, but, it's going to be aggressive plays like that. Guys continuing to play with abandon, though you are down in this game.
Tight end motions to more of an H-back, free runner, and they dump it off short. And this is a long way to go down to around the 10-yard line.
And that looked to be a bit of a broken play initially. A little bit of a fake to no one, but he's able to find his man out on the edge. And now they'll find themselves in a goal-to-go situation.
First and goal from the 8. Bentley looking to the sideline. Snap, and they'll hand it off. And remember, touchdown is going to go to Evan Coney because they're starting back. Logan Gutierrez, in the first half, walked off the field with what looked like cramps, and it perhaps might either be more serious than that, or they're feeling like, we've got control of the game. We can go ahead. He is a stud running back. He is, overshadowed by what we'll call celebrity of Bo Bentley. But Gutierrez is a very, very good running back. Make no mistake about it. Extra point is up and good. 42-7. Salina leading Paris. Wildcats taking the kickoff when we come back here on Game Day.
At Raffaele Property Management, keeping our tenants comfortable is a top priority. That's why we trust Lone Star Heat and Air. They've always been dependable, quick to respond, and their work is top-notch. Whether it's routine service or an urgent call, they take care of it with professionalism and care. We couldn't recommend Lone Star Heat and Air more for anyone looking for a reliable HVAC service.
And out of the timeout, following the touchdown, it'll be Paris to receive the kick. Keyshawn Roberts back deep, along with Red Finch. I can always tell that it's red regardless of if I can, see the number or anything. 1, the towel is always going to be hanging out. 2, the neon green gloves. 3, the neon green mouthpiece, Red Finch. And then also Marquise Shelton, who has had a pretty good night. Marquise Shelton has had a good evening, as this is going to be the Jamarius Shelton variety taking the kick and moving it up to the 31-yard line, and that's where the Paris Wildcat offense will come out.
In this second half, we are kind of at that point in the game. You start talking about, something to build on. You're going into your bye week. You're going to face Community, and then obviously a likely postseason berth. Let's see what they can get working. See if Tyler Heath can get going, can find his guys, his plethora of weapons that he has on offense, and put together a good drive here.
So Heath out of the gun, and also a good opportunity for Gio Dawson to get him going as Roberts goes in motion. Here's the snap, fake, throwing out to Roberts on the outside, trying to make a man miss, and it's going to be a big loss. So that'll bring up second down and about 17 for the Paris Wildcats. And they had success with the short game in the first half, especially on that first drive and even on a couple of drives after that. Salina's going to make adjustments. They're going to figure out how they can do something about that Paris Wildcat short game. And now handoff goes to Dawson. Dawson breaking away and pushing a man to the side. And Gio Dawson still going. And a huge run and a phenomenal gain from Gio Dawson.
Phenomenal gain indeed. Gio Dawson says, "Get off me." Just maintains that balance, that solid center of gravity. And
oh, he is a load. He is tough to bring down. And now they're, kind of having a tough time spotting the ball. Finally get it done. Heath in an empty gun, go back to the short game to Shelton and get some blocks and picks up about half of what is needed.
that's a big run, kind of changes this whole drive. You find yourself deep in plus territory, close to the red zone. It's a good opportunity to start the second half with a score if you're Paris.
So they'll go back to a 4-wide set. Heath out of the gun. Man goes in motion. That's record. Man coverage. Snap goes back to Dawson, and they hit him and drive on him this time. And that's pretty much what you got to do is get him in the midsection, in the lower body, and drive because, trust me, he's going to be driving too.
Absolutely. That's a man. If he picks up a head of steam, he's going to, he has the potential to break off a long gain on you. Paris finding themselves still in third and not forever, third and manageable. Look for them to target the middle of the field here and keep this drive going.
And for Paris, 4-down territory. Heath takes the snap, dropping back, throwing an inside screen to Shelton, makes one man miss, and then is able to push ahead for about 2. And that'll bring up 4th down and 4.
You got to think this is surely 4-down territory here. With the success you've had with Gio Dawson on this drive thus far, you got to think that's a real possibility, a handoff right up the middle to Gio.
And looks like man coverage across the board for the Paris Wildcats. As Heath takes the snap, looking, 4-man rush. They're just going to throw the ball into the end zone, and this one gets knocked down. That was intended for Red Finch and good safety help as well. So the drive stalls as Paris moves the length of the field, but ends up staying in between the 20s and giving the ball back to Salina.
They don't come up with points on that drive, but Salina starting with what is currently some of their worst field position of the night. They've had some returns that have set them up very well thus far, so we'll see how they do having to drive a longer field on this drive.
You have a trip set at the top of your screen. Single receiver at the bottom, one-on-one with Wallace. Fakes the handoff, and here comes Chris Garcia. Bentley gets it away. And it'll be a modest gain on 1st down, picking up about 7.
36-yard line.
And a good job by the running back, Coney, picking up that blitz from Chris Garcia. He was coming in with his hair on fire. As Bentley looks to the sideline, takes the snap. Throwing deep. This is one of the only deep balls we've seen, and it's complete and headed to the house. Touchdown. And, yeah, guess who it is? Once again, you're looking at L.J. Taylor. And, we talked about how Bentley gets all the shine. Everybody knows the name. Oklahoma commit. We've said it. To be number 1 in the state, you got to have a few more than just one guy, right? And L.J. Taylor is one of those, as this is his 4th trip into the end zone tonight.
Absolutely. Salina, a lot similar to the Paris Wildcats in a way, a lot of talented playmakers at the skill positions on offense, and we see it right there. Bo Bentley just able to drop an absolute dime to a wide open man down the field.
Extra point is up and good. We're going to step aside. Kickoff coming up when we return here on Game Day.
Yay! We're so excited you decided to become a member.
Thanks, I didn't think it would be this easy.
I know. We've opened up memberships so even more people can take advantage of our amazing services.
Are you gonna clean this up?
Become a new member and take advantage of all RRCU can offer. Experience the credit union difference anytime, anywhere.
No, seriously, are you gonna clean this up?
Do you RRCU?
And back here on Game Day, Finch, Roberts, and Shelton back deep to receive the kick. And ahead of them, Record and Jamarius Shelton. You're also going to have Tannen Hohenberger in the middle of that group. And I feel like each of those guys, with the exception of Hohenberger, but everyone else has gotten a touch on the ball on the kick return team here tonight, as Salina certainly in control of this ball game. Paris, gives you an opportunity to perhaps go and try some things, do some things that maybe you didn't initially plan on doing. As here's Finch with a good kick return up near the 35-yard line. And
Red Finch just putting together a really complete game, been able to have great vision and find the lanes on kickoff. Obviously, we saw him with the big pass breakup preventing the touchdown earlier in the game. He's gonna be a man who's gonna be very important to any type of postseason run you might have.
And they're gonna go with a unit that, for the wide receivers, this is a young group. Obviously, you have the senior Humphrey out on the outside at the top of that trip set, but then the junior Record and two sophomores in Brown and Patterson, they hand off to Gio. Gio has been a positive here tonight as well, pushing ahead for 2 to 3 yards.
We'll also see from the Wildcats a change at quarterback. Down 42, they'll go to Shelton.
And Jamarius Shelton is a young man that Coach Hohenberger really, really likes. And, certainly for Jamarius, it's a senior year. He's gotten some run as a slot receiver. And so getting to play despite being the backup to Tyler Heath is here he's going to be taken down in the backfield, as Salina has brought pressure all night. And I think Shelton actually fumbled. I didn't see that part, but yeah, the ball came out. And as we're singing his praises, he puts it on the ground, and Salina comes up with the football. Yeah, I missed that.
Yeah, he was a little bit slow to get up. It almost seemed like it happened after the fact. And, Salina now kind of back in that field position that they're used to, already on this side of the 50. We'll see what Paris is able to put together on defense now with new personnel. Obviously, they will go younger on defense as well.
And Salina doing the same thing, bringing in some twos. And I'm going to give you the honors of announcing our new quarterback for Salina, number 19.
Oh, okay.
Set you up for failure, didn't I?
Yeah. We've got checking into the game at quarterback for Salina. That's Gurav Mutasaril.
Good enough. And so this ball, I kind of saw things breaking down and just gets what he can out of it. So 3rd down and short. And, the backup quarterback, which is what I'm going to refer to him as, and that's not a shot at him, just a difficult name. But nonetheless, man, he is a good-sized kid. I'm telling you, he is built like a linebacker. Defense jumps, and that gives Salina a free set of downs.
This is what you can see, when you first get the twos in the game. obviously fresh bodies in there. They can be a little bit antsy, and it ends up costing them there.
Snap back, looking left, throwing a ball. It's kind of high and picked off. Marquis Shelton, and he can go. He's got one man to beat, and it's the quarterback, and he will just take him down. But Marquis Shelton with back-to-back games with an interception, and he nearly cribs this one.
I mean, how big is that? You know, right out, you fumble the ball, you give it to them in great field position, and get an interception. Now set up very well on offense. Shelton now with the chance to go out there and redeem himself at quarterback.
And I'm telling you, if Mata Surreal, that's what I'm going with. It sounds good. I don't know if it's right, but it sounds good. Mata Surreal, if he's not an athlete himself, then Marquis Shelton, you got to really, really see how he can fly. And now Jamarius, he'll have Giovanni Dawson to his right, H-back to the left. First time we've seen that here tonight. And handoff cutting back to the right side is Dawson, picking up about 2 or 3. And they're going to say ball came out, but runner was down. And Paris, you got to hang on to that ball, man, one way or the other.
We'll see them get the play in a little bit differently. Shelton making his way all the way over to the sideline to take the play into the huddle.
You're going to have Fabian Brown at the bottom of your screen standing on top of that 30-yard line. Ball at the 31. Kentrell Patterson joins him in the slot. Takes the snap, fakes the handoff, and then just gets dumped in the backfield as Salina not afraid to bring pressure. I mean, if you're a 2 on the team, you got to know how to time your blitzes as well. And so, you know, a lot of people feel like, you know, take your foot off the gas, game, this, that. And I always tell people, especially at the high school level and even at the college level, you're never going to convince the kids who don't get to play a ton to ease off.
Absolutely. You know, down to the very bottom of this Salina roster, and this goes for many high school teams as well. These are guys who have dedicated years of their lives to this sport, so not really kids who are going to go at half speed once they get the opportunity to go in the game.
Ball on the ground again, ends up right in the hands of Shelton, though.
Dawson recovers.
Or excuse me, Dawson, Giovanni Dawson. So that'll be another loss and brings up 4th down. However, you know, you're at the 38-yard line. I'm sure that Shelton can reach the end zone from here. Let's see if he can throw something maybe in the middle of the field, and let's see if Paris can protect him long enough for something to develop downfield.
It'll be interesting to see. Obviously, they've, you know, gone to the 2s up front as well.
Paris is going to have to take a timeout, bringing the quarterback all the way to the sideline and then all the way back. Paris broke their huddle with about 8 seconds left on the play clock, and they'll have to burn one. We'll be right back here on Game Day.
We're here at the biggest game of the year for the kickoff, and I say these local guys have no competition, John.
No doubt, Stephen. Why sweat in the press box?
When you can sit like a king.
And we got the best seats in the house right here, baby.
Where every seat is the best seat.
Oh, yeah. Texas Furniture and Appliance. Local since 1927.
These players are definitely in their comfort zone.
You say something?
Back here on Game Day, it is 49-7, and it's one of those guys. I don't know why you see it in sports all the time. I mean, it happens all the time. You look at a game like this, and you're thinking, okay, you know, maybe it was 21-0, and then Paris scores, and then, you know, they score more. Paris scored the first 7 points, and then 49 straight. How many times in sports in, a lopsided game, have you seen the team that's down be the first one to score? And like we said, we're going to get to see how far Jamarius Shelton can throw it, and it ends up incomplete. I think Salina certainly knew what was coming. It'll be a turnover on downs.
See, with backups in the game, neither man, safety nor corner really get their head around for that football. If they had, in all likelihood, it's going the other way.
So now on the other end, it's going to be a lot of running the football.
Get a new quarterback in the game for Salina and Brant Wilson.
There we go. Old Brant, huh? I don't know. I was really excited to see Mata Cyril, especially since I got it rolling off the tongue now. But it'll be Brant Wilson instead. Here's the snap. He'll hand off, and Guzman is there to make the stop. And that'll do it for the very swift third quarter. And we will be back with fourth quarter action. Celina with the lead here on Game Day.
Project manager with 2B Builders. We're a local GC here in Texarkana. We have Lone Star out here doing our heating and AC. They do a good job for us. We really appreciate the customer service that they provide. I know that at Lone Star Heating and Air, I can always call Matt or Dave, their head commercial HVAC guy, and they will always pick up the phone when I need them. And that's a big thing when we're working out here on these commercial projects. Usually when we're in a bind, we need something and we need it pretty quickly, and we can rely on Lone Star for that.
And back here on Game Day is the Paris Wildcats starting to put in some of their twos as well and threes, and Juarez is going to come in and play some linebacker for the Paris Wildcats, a junior. Great to see that young man on the field as well. As Wilson continues to man the charge at quarterback, and here's the snap rolling out to his right, and we'll dump it off, and that's a good gain, first down. And if you are Salina, that's what you want to see out of your quarterback, especially talking about your third string quarterback. See what's given to you and take it.
Absolutely, and he makes a good throw on the run. First time they've allowed him to throw in this game.
Here's the snap, and Jackson Threadgill makes the stop after a gain of 4. And that's one thing is Salina, when they've gotten into the red zone, I think that they've actually ran the ball the best in the red zone. They've had a couple of rushing touchdowns that went for, 12, 14 yards. Otherwise, they haven't really just gashed Paris in the run game. They've been able to get chunks, 4, 5, 6. And then you've had some issues with the deep ball. You've had issues with number 2 for certain. Taylor, that guy was a problem tonight. But otherwise, it's really been for Paris, gave up a punt return. Taylor went off, had a big night.
Taylor, most of all, most efficient on punt return. Able to, one of them ended up being called back on a personal foul, but really effective on special teams for Salina.
And so now 4th down and 2 for Salina, and certainly going to go for it from this range at the 32-yard line in Paris territory. A great chance for these twos to pick up some confidence. Instead, it'll be caught and taken for a first down.
Carson picks up the Bobcat first down.
And Coach Hollenberger going to rotate out some of these defensive linemen for the Paris Wildcats. And I think regardless of what we see here, they're going to keep that clock running as here's Salina once again in the run game. Carter Place. He's gotten a lot of action considering that you had the starter, Gutierrez, go down in the first half, and that put Evan Coney on the field. And then now with rotating the starters out, your third string running back, Carter Place, getting a little bit of run. Wilson takes the snap, hands off to Place, and it was a big hole to run through, but some Paris Wildcat backers there to limit that run to about 4. And that'll bring up second down and goal from the 5.
Place on the carry. Second and goal for Salina.
So Salina looking to the sideline. They've got 2 receivers heavy up front. And they're going to be content to keep it on the ground, and tripped up at the goal line, but breaking the plane. And that'll be another touchdown for Salina, taking it to 55-7 with the extra point still to come.
You know, and as Salina kind of crosses the century mark or half-century mark here, you know, we want to think if you're Paris, there's a lot of football left to be played beyond community the week after next. So it's going to be important to have a very short memory of what has occurred this evening.
Extra point is up and good. We will step aside and be right back here on Game Day.
Ready to rep your school and your wallet?
I'm here to open a student account and score that sweet school debit card.
With no monthly fees, mobile banking, and a debit card that shows your school pride, our student account is built for your game plan.
Get in the game. Open yours today.
First Federal Community Bank, the only bank you'll ever need.
First Federal Community Bank, the only bank you'll ever need.
Back here on Game Day. And obviously, you know, this thing went south for Paris after that first drive. And so strange that, you know, you go right down the field. And it wasn't a situation where you caught a lucky break and you felt the resistance from Salina's defense, but something strange happened and you end up punching one in. No, Paris went up and hit Salina in the mouth. Unfortunately, it was kind of like me going up and punching Mike Tyson in the face one good time, which according to that Jake Paul fight, maybe I could have done something, you know? Maybe I could have done a little something. No, but, yeah, after that, you get the big swing from the defending state champions, and, you know, it's a tough night.
It is a tough night, but, you know, before we went into that commercial break, we were kind of emphasizing, you know, this is not going to be the end of your season by any means. You know, little, if any, playoff implications to this game tonight. And you've got a lot of football ahead of you if you're Paris, you know, so still some good use in this game and finding out, you know, what you have to build on going forward.
Handoff, Aldrin Gill, and Gill picks up about half of what's needed on first down.
Couple star performers in this game for Paris. Obviously, if you're the Wildcats, this game hasn't gone how you would have hoped it would, but Aldrin Gill really able to, from the first drive all the way through the game, able to break off some big runs and be efficient, get those tough yards in the very middle of the Salina defense.
He'll be lined up to the right of Shelton. Here's the snap. They'll hand it to him, and he is met immediately. And they'll blow that one dead after a loss of a couple. And that brings up third down. And Gill, a player that can do something for you in all three phases. He has, a couple of interceptions on defense this season. We've seen some things that he can do offensively. He's also been a big player in the kickoff return game at times. And, for Coach Hohenberger, we've seen Keyshawn Roberts, Marquise Shelton, Red Finch, Jacabrian Record, and it just seems like there's so many guys that have so many abilities from the offensive skill standpoint as Paris wants to take a timeout. And we're going to take one with them, 56-7. Paris trailing at Wildcat Stadium. We'll be right back on Game Day.
Hello, everyone. I'm Jason with Golden Corral in Texarkana. I've got big cheers going out to Lone Star Heating and Air. I talked with Matt Shirley over at Lone Star Heating and Air. They actually came out, looked to see what we needed. They ordered the supplies or the equipment and everything. They came in and they did the install. They did 2 units in one day with no business disruptions whatsoever. Thanks to Lone Star Heating and Air, we got our air up and going and everything's running good.
Out of the timeout, we'd like to thank some of our sponsors, including Glass Land and Home. Brian Glass, thank you so much, brother. Former Paris Wildcat and D1 player. Go Mean Green. And also Mike Davidson, Roadrunner Service and Tire. And Mike has been a gentleman who has provided for this community, not just servicing with Roadrunner, but also officiating games. And we're very, very thankful for that as, once again, the Salina pressure gets home on Shelton, and that'll back them up. And it is fourth and a long, long way to go. And this is going to be interesting now as well because Jamarius Shelton is coming out. Your kind of pooch punter guy has been the quarterback, Tyler Heath. And then your long punter, Boots Harper, is out with a little bit of a shoulder injury precaution. And so it'll be Chris Garcia, who does play soccer, by the way, and is one of the key players on the soccer team. And good grief, where's he been all season, brother? You know what I'm saying? That was a phenomenal punt. And Paris comes up with a big stop.
Yeah, just absolutely skies it on his first punt of this season, coming from that same position group as Boots Harper on defense. The punt, ends up being muffed on the other end by Salina. I mean,
now Boots has been a part of the punt team, I believe, since he came on his freshman year. And then Tyler being the punter, it's strategic. You put your quarterback up there, see if he sees something in the defense, and if he sees something he likes, maybe he has the green light to go. Usually about 98% of the time he's going to step back and punt it. But with the current circumstances,
I mean, that was the best punt of the season.
That was, yeah, absolutely. Chris Garcia boomed that one. And then gave your coverage team an opportunity to get down there and limit Salina in an area of the game where they have been really good returning punts here tonight. So, handoff and a big hit but it looks like it's Mattisaril back in at quarterback as they go alternating those young men. And then the running back, Nolan Majors. Making the stop that time, Keontae Franklin. Handoff once again up the middle, stopped for little to no gain. Looked like that was Caden Newberry coming up to make a stop.
And there's going to be a fair bit Salina's going to have to do to ice this game. You know, they'll probably need 2 first downs to take it to triple zeros on the clock.
And taking their time as they should. Mattisaril out of the gun, takes the snap. They're going to throw it, and they're going deep down the sideline, and this one comes up incomplete.
Yeah, doesn't make a lot of sense at this point in the game. You know, it's 56-7.
Yeah, and again, you know, if you are Salina, I get it. You want your backup to get a rep in to, you know, be able to push the ball downfield just in case. What if we end up in the playoffs and something happens to Bo Bentley? We're going up against Stephenville. We're going up against Kilgore or West Plains or, you know, one of the contenders. Paris might be lined up offside here. They're going to throw the ball out to the wide side of the field and taken down maybe just short of the sticks by Brandon Shores. That'll bring up 3rd down with the clock rolling.
Looks like they'll find themselves here.
4th down, rather.
In 4th and short. See how they approach this. Like I said, still a fair bit of time on the clock, so you do need a couple first downs to drain this out.
And now Rocky Curtis Perez will be the running back for Salina. Lined up on the right side of Mattisaril. And they'll hand it off to him, and he's got the first down. Spins down inside the 30-yard line. He gets tackled by Fulbright, the junior for the Paris Wildcats. And one more play. And now this is interesting. There is no play clock. There we go. 25. All right. It was sitting on 0 for a long time, and not in a way that like a delay a game, more like in a way that they hadn't reset it. So they're going to hand this ball off, and Curtis Perez gets taken down. Fulbright again in on that tackle, along with Esteban Guzman. And they can take this down to the 2-minute timeout.
Rocky Perez again on the carry.
2nd down and 8 will be the situation. We're going to take a timeout with them. We will be right back here on Game Day.
At Moore Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram of Paris, we can make your next vehicle purchase simple, stress-free, and built around you. Whether you're looking for a rugged Ram truck, an adventurous Jeep, or a quality pre-owned, we have the right vehicle for you at the right price. And with over 700 5-star reviews, our customers know that our friendly, knowledgeable staff is here for you. So come see us off the loop in Paris, Texas, and for more details, visit morecdjr.com.
And back here on Game Day, as Salina probably looking at picking up one more first down, like you said, and then lining up in the only formation that can go backwards and win you a ball game. Did you ever think of it that way?
Have to add that one to my start thinking about it that way.
Mattisaril back in the game. Snap, handoff, helmet comes off of someone. And taken down. And it looked like it was an offensive lineman for Salina.
Leo Marquez on the carry.
That's going to be one of their offensive linemen, Johnny Haddix.
Third down and 4 at the 21.
He'll have to come out of the game for one play. 3rd down and 4 coming up. Clock rolling at 1:20 to go in this ball game. Here's the snap and a free runner. They set up the screen, and Brandon Shore's in pursuit, and instead into the end zone. Touchdown, Salina.
Touchdown, Salina.
And I tell you, 50. Okay, guys score 50. You hate to see that number turn from a 5 to a 6. Not that it necessarily matters. Win-loss column doesn't matter. Well, it won't be. There's a flag on the play. And again, moral victories. So what? 5, 6, 50, 60. Who cares? But, really from your mentality, state of mind perspective, and so 3rd down and 1, so they do have to pick up a first down here. Snap back, they'll hand it off. There's the first down. And they will take one knee, and that should do it. And meanwhile, going to get a look at some scores from around the area. Cooper annihilates Alba Golden here tonight. You got a great one going on between Prairieland and Quitman, 21-21. And Chisholm in a dogfight as well tonight, taking on Harmony. And that one, 22-15 with 30 seconds left. Harmony leading as we wrap this one up from Wildcat Stadium, 56-7. Tough night for Paris, but they get the bye week next week to recoup, and then Community the following week to wrap up the regular season. Hopefully, all things shape up. It's in line to do so. We could see the Paris Wildcats in the playoffs. And, of course, we will be carrying all those playoff games right here on Paris Game Day. For Evan Brazil, Reed Preston, Todd Coleman, Ava Langley, Brittany Young, our production crew, thank you guys so very much for making this happen here tonight. You've been watching Paris Wildcat football here on Paris Game Day.